This is Joe Biden, the current resident of the United States. Leading up to the midterm elections, Biden started using the following line.
20 months ago, the economy was in ruins. Trump is the first president since Herbert Hoover. It's a fact, since Herbert Hoover to lose jobs over the course of his presidency. Fewer jobs when he left than when he came to office.
Okay, first off, in January 2021, the United States economy was not in ruins. That's just a huge lie. And here's some context. When President Trump entered office in 2017, the unemployment rate was at 4.7%. By February 2020, it had lowered to 3.5%. During Trump's first 3 years in office, the United States economy gained 6,876,000 jobs. And those are very good numbers by any metric. But then, in March 2020, the unemployment rate rose to 4.4%, and the next month in April, it surged to a staggering 14.7%. Over those 2 months, nearly 22 million jobs were lost. So how and why did the US economy lose all those jobs? Well, according to Joe Biden, it's because Trump is the new Herbert Hoover.
When I took office, this economy was in ruins. My predecessor was the first president since Herbert Hoover to lose jobs during his 4-year presidency. The first president.
Now, I know that it's been memory hold at this point, but there was in fact a global pandemic. And at the behest of our expert scientist class, the federal government artificially shut down the country for 2 weeks to stop the spread, which essentially evolved into 1 year to flatten the curve.
Just look at the facts. When I took office, the economy was in ruins. This is not because of me, it's because of what I inherited. My predecessor was the first president since Herbert Hoover to lose jobs. He had fewer jobs when he left office than when he came to office. Last president that happened to was literally Herbert Hoover.
Literally Herbert Hoover!
Herbert Hoover.
So in just 2 months' time, nearly 22 million jobs were lost due to the pandemic. However, during Trump's last 9 months in office, 12.5 million of those jobs were recovered, and the unemployment rate dropped from 14.7% to 6.4%. Objectively, that is a strong recovery, especially considering all of the uncertainty surrounding the pandemic, which was still raging. But Joe Biden thinks that you're stupid enough to believe him when he claims that it was in ruins.
Let's take a look at the facts. When I took office, this economy was in ruins. When I took office, the economy was in ruins. My predecessor was the first president since Herbert Hoover, not a joke, to lose jobs in the entirety of his administration, the first.
But then, like magic, the second Joe Biden took office, he just turned it around.
Let's just take a look at the facts. 10 million jobs created since we took office, a record for any administration in American history. 10 million jobs created since I took office, a record in any administration.
And this is a lie. The majority of those jobs are not created, they are recovered. Let's look at the math. In March and April 2020, 21,991,000 jobs were lost. From May 2020 to January 2021, 12.5 million of those jobs were recovered, which left 9,487,000 jobs needed to get back to pre-pandemic levels. So to break even, there would need to be 9.5 million jobs added back to the economy. But the second that Joe Biden took office, he painted himself as some economic savior and decided to take all the credit.
This morning we've learned that our economy created 900,000 jobs in March. It means the first 2 months of our administration has seen more new jobs created than the first 2 months in any administration in history.
So at this point, he had barely been in office for 10 weeks. Yet he's like, look at all the new jobs. Of course, these are not new jobs. They are not created jobs. These were recovered jobs. In other words, he was full of shit from the very beginning.
The economy created 266,000 jobs in April. In fact, altogether, since the time we took office, we've created more than 1.5 million jobs in the country. It's the most jobs created in the first 100 days of any president on record.
I mean, he literally didn't do anything to create jobs.
In May, our economy created 559,000 new jobs. That means we have now created over 2 million jobs in total since I took office. More jobs than ever been created in the first 4 months of any presidency in modern history. More jobs than have ever been created in the first 5 months of any presidency in modern history. We're now the first administration in history to add jobs every single month in our first 6 months in office. In total, the job creation in the first 8 months of my administration is nearly 5 million jobs. Today, it's another great day for our economic recovery.
What?
For our economic recovery.
81 million votes, guys.
The job creation in the first full 9 months of my administration is about 5.6 million new jobs, a record for any new president.
All told, in the first 10 full months of my administration, the economy has created 6 million jobs, a record for a new president.
Okay, I think you get the point. Biden has been repeating this accomplishment since taking office, and media outlets have been more than happy to repeat this empty talking point. Biden sets first-year record with 6.6 million jobs added. The economy created nearly as many jobs in President Joe Biden's first year as were created in Donald Trump's first 3 years combined.
This morning's report caps off my first year as president. And over that period, our economy created 6.6 million jobs. 6.6 million jobs. You can't remember another year when so many people went to work in this country. There's a reason. It never happened.
It never happened because the US economy was never shut down artificially like it was during COVID.
Take a look at the chart. You can look at the last, all the way back to President Reagan. Look how many jobs we've created in an average per month. This is, it's never happened before. And look, history's been made here.
No, it hasn't. The chart that Biden is pointing to is comparing the monthly job growth during his first year with the average monthly job growth of presidents during their entire first and second terms. How is this substantive? And again, he's saying that he created jobs. But the reality is that during Biden's first year in office, the economy recovered 6,727,000 jobs, but it was still short by 2,760,000. Now, to be fair, there have been fact checks from media outlets calling Biden out on his exaggerations. So it's not like they were completely ignoring his lies about job growth. Yet those fact checks are few and far between, which means that Biden is free to ignore their existence and continue to push his economic savior bullshit.
10 million jobs created since I take office.
I mean, what's the media supposed to do to counter this? Keep a running tally of Biden's lies and misleading statements like they did with Trump? Get real. They only do that with Republican presidents. Anyway, on December 2nd, 2022, the POTUS account tweeted the following. We're building an economy from the bottom up and the middle out by creating more jobs than any administration in history at this point in a presidency. So obviously, fact checks from media organizations aren't doing all that much to shame the Biden administration into telling the truth. But maybe, just maybe, Twitter can change all that. In the hours after that tweet was published, Twitter readers added context they thought people might want to know. This graph misleadingly credits Biden for the creation of new jobs. The spike in jobs is more accurately attributed to the lifting of COVID-19 restrictions at the state and local level. These are not new jobs, but instead jobs that are returning to the economy pre-COVID-19. God, I love the new Twitter. And in the last month or so, Twitter has added valuable context to BS White House claims multiple times. Thank God for you, Elon Musk. The POTUS account posted, "We've created 10.5 million jobs since I took office. More than any administration in history at this point in a presidency. And I'm proud 750,000 of those are manufacturing jobs." And again, Twitter readers provided important context pointing out that the majority of those jobs are not new jobs, they're recovered jobs. And for the record, under the Biden administration, there have only been 1,044,000 new jobs added from February 2021 to November 2022. Now, I say only because the economy should have exploded. All Biden had to do was encourage states and localities to reopen. That's it. But instead, his policies gave way to 40-year high inflation, record high gas prices, and 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP. And when there's that much uncertainty in the market, it's not very conducive to job growth. Another example of Biden's bullshit is claiming that 750,000 manufacturing jobs had been created under his leadership.
A resurgence of American manufacturers that's already created, by the way, 700,000 brand new manufacturing jobs.
We made 700,000 manufacturing jobs here in America just since I've been president. We created 700,000 manufacturing jobs and over 700,000 manufacturing jobs. American manufacturing is surging with 700 new manufacturing jobs created and many more to come.
So when the White House tried to brag tweet about 750,000 new manufacturing jobs, the Twitter fact checkers pointed out that only 150,000 of those jobs were new, and that the rest of them were recovered. And the Twitter fact checkers aren't just going after the Biden administration on job statistics. They've added context to White House claims about lowering the deficit, Social Security increases, small business applications, gas prices, the cost of insulin for Medicare recipients, the 15% minimum tax on certain large corporations, American exports, and stats about unemployment benefits. So with all the pushback from Twitter, you will not be surprised at Joe Biden's response when a reporter asked him if Elon Musk should be investigated.
Whether or not he is doing anything inappropriate, I'm not suggesting that. I'm suggesting that it's worth being looked at. But that's all I'll say.
How?
There's a lot of ways. All right.
There's a lot of ways to look at Elon Musk and Twitter. Get it? And this not-so-veiled threat was made before Elon decided to release internal files that related to collusion between old Twitter and the Biden presidential campaign, the DNC, and the FBI. And what's been released has barely scratched the surface. So if you think Biden and the Democrats are mad now, you haven't seen anything yet. And on that note, that's it for now. Speaking of Twitter, follow me at Don't Walk Run, and be sure that you're still subscribed to the channel. As always, I hope to see you next time. If there is a next time.